The stars were silent that night. The black sky was full of them, but they felt colder than usual, like they were watching instead of shining. Commander Rain was alone in the cockpit of his ship, Aurora Dawn. Space stretched out forever around him. Endless, empty, and dangerous. He checked the radar again. Nothing. Only the sound of the engines humming like a low heartbeat. His mission was simple. Map an unknown region near the edge of the Andros Nebula. But space had a habit of turning simple things into mysteries. It started with a signal. At first, it was a soft beep, faint, almost like a whisper. He thought it was a system glitch. But then it came again, clearer this time, like a voice hidden inside static. "Help me." Rain froze. He looked around the cabin. There was no one there. He leaned closer to the comms. "Who's there?" he asked, his voice calm but his heart beating faster. No reply, just static. He ran a scan for nearby ships. Nothing. No stations, no satellites, not even debris. Space was empty. So where did that voice come from? For a moment, he thought about turning back. But something inside him whispered, "Go forward." He set a new course toward the coordinates the signal had shown for a second before disappearing. A small, dim planet. No name, no record. As the ship approached the planet, strange things started to happen. The lights flickered, the radar froze, and for a moment the ship's controls felt heavy, like invisible hands were holding them. It was as if the planet didn't want him to leave. He landed anyway. The planet's surface was silent, covered in silver dust that sparkled like stars under a dark purple sky. No wind, no life, just silence. Rain stepped out in his suit, each step leaving a glowing mark that slowly faded behind him. Then he saw her. Far away, near a rocky cliff, a figure stood. A woman wearing no suit, no helmet, just a simple white dress that moved even though there was no wind. Her hair floated as if she was underwater, and her eyes glowed faintly like the stars above. Rain blinked. She was gone. "Impossible," he whispered. Was it his mind, a reflection, or something else? He followed the marks she left in the dust. Soft, small footprints, almost like they wanted to lead him somewhere. They led to a cave glowing with soft blue light. The deeper he went, the stronger the signal became in his headset. Then the voice came again. This time, it was clear. "You found me." Rain turned. She was there again. Closer now. Her eyes met his, and for a moment, the silence of space felt warm. "Who are you?" he asked. She smiled, a sad, soft smile. "I don't remember." Her voice was beautiful. But there was something strange. It sounded like it came from inside his mind, not from her lips. Rain's hand hovered over his blaster, but he didn't draw it. Something about her presence stopped him. She didn't feel like danger. She felt lonely. "I've been waiting," she said. "For what?" Rain asked. "For you." Before he could reply, the cave trembled. The walls began to glow with star-like dots, forming constellations that moved like living maps. His scanner went wild, showing unknown energy signatures. The woman stepped back, her face suddenly full of fear. "They know you are here now," she whispered. "Who knows?" Before she could answer, the ground cracked, and a bright light burst from the cave walls, swallowing everything. The light faded slowly. Rain opened his eyes and found himself lying on the cold cave floor. The blue glow was gone, replaced by a soft golden shine, like distant starlight. The woman was still there, standing only a few steps away, looking at him with concern. "Are you hurt?" she asked. "No," Rain said, slowly getting to his feet. "What was that?" She looked down as if the answer was too heavy to speak. "This planet, it is not dead. It is awake now. And it knows you have come." Rain frowned. "Why me? I was just following a signal." She gave him a gentle look. "Because you heard it, Not everyone can. For a moment, they just stared at each other. There was something strange about her. Not just her glowing eyes or the way her hair floated softly. It was the feeling she gave, familiar and yet impossible. Like a memory from a dream he never had. "What is your name?" Rain asked. She paused. "Leora," she said finally. "At least I think it was. You think?" Rain asked. Leora smiled sadly. "I was not always like this. I was human once." Rain's heart skipped. "What do you mean? Are you saying you're dead?" She shook her head. "Not dead, not alive. I am caught between." Before Rain could ask more, the ground trembled again, but softer this time, like a warning. Strange lights flickered on the walls, forming shapes that looked like eyes watching them. Leora stepped closer. "They are coming." "Who?" Rain asked, pulling out his blaster. "The keepers," she whispered. "They do not like visitors." A cold wind rushed through the cave, but there was no air on this planet. The wind was not real. It was something else. A presence. The cave darkened, and the star-like lights turned red, glowing like angry embers. Rain felt a pull, like gravity changing. His feet slid across the ground. Leora grabbed his hand, warm, real. And for a second, he felt a heartbeat. Her heartbeat. "Come with me," she said. Her voice was calm, but her grip was strong. "If you stay, you will disappear like the others." They ran deeper into the cave, through a tunnel that twisted like a serpent. The walls were alive, pulsing with light. Rain could feel them watching, whispering. His helmet sensors went wild. Energy readings off the charts, signals overlapping. At the end of the tunnel, they entered a large chamber. In the center was a pool of liquid light, swirling like a small galaxy. "This is where it began," Leora said softly. Rain stared at the pool. "What is it?" "My heart," she whispered. He turned to her. "Your heart." She nodded. "Long ago, I came here with a team. We were explorers, like you. But the planet, it chose me. Took my body, my memories, my time. It made me a part of it." Rain looked into her glowing eyes. "Why? Why keep you here?" She stepped closer, her face inches from his. "Because I loved the stars too much to leave them. And now, I wait." "For what?" "For someone brave enough to free me." The pool of light rippled. A shadow rose from it. Tall, dark, with no face. Only the shape of a man made of smoke and starlight. The keeper. Its voice was like 1,000 whispers at once. "You do not belong here." Rain raised his blaster, but Leora touched his arm. "Oh, violence will not save you." The keeper moved closer. Its form shifted like mist, but its presence was heavy, pressing against Rain's chest. He could hardly breathe. "You are not the first to come," the keeper said. "But you may be the last." Rain clenched his jaw. "I didn't come to fight. I came because someone called me." The keeper's red eyes flickered. "Then you have already chosen your path." The ground shook violently, the pool of light exploding into streams of energy. Leora grabbed Rain's hand again, pulling him toward the other side of the chamber. "This way," she cried. They ran, their footsteps echoing through the hollow planet. Behind them, the keeper's shadow stretched, reaching like claws. The tunnel twisted again, and suddenly they were outside, back under the starry purple sky. Rain gasped for air, even though his suit provided enough oxygen. His heart was racing. Leora stood beside him, her white dress now glowing faintly. "You should leave," she said. "Before it is too late." Rain looked at her. Really looked at her. Her face was calm, but her eyes carried centuries of sadness. "I can't," he said. "Not yet." She blinked, surprised. Why? T didn't have the words. Maybe it was her voice, or the way her fingers felt when they held his hand, or the mystery in her eyes. Maybe it was because, for the first time in a long time, space didn't feel empty. And then, Far above, the stars began to move, not twinkle, not shine. Move, forming a pattern. A map, straight to her. The stars above shifted slowly, forming lines like threads of light. Rain stared at them from the rocky plain. They were not stars anymore. They were moving like a living map. It's glowing in the sky, and all of them pointed toward Leora. She stood quietly beside him, her white dress almost shining under the strange sky. "It begins," she whispered. Rain turned to her. "What begins?" "The hunt," she said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes betrayed the fear she tried to hide. "When the stars move, the keepers awaken. They will not stop now." Rain clenched his fists. "Then we run." Leora shook her head. "You cannot run from the sky." The ground trembled beneath them, soft at first, then stronger, like something was crawling under the surface. Rain felt a rush of cold air inside his helmet, even though the system was sealed. It was not air, it was presence. He reached for her hand without thinking. "Stay close to me." Leora looked at him for a long moment, then slowly nodded. "I should warn you," she said. "Those who stay close to me rarely leave alive." "I'm not leaving without answers," Rain said. They began walking, following the trail of glowing dust. Each step echoed in the empty land, as if the planet was listening. The purple sky grew darker, and the stars kept moving, forming a spiral now, a whirlpool of light above their heads. Rain's communicator beeped. Static filled his helmet. Then, a voice. His captain's voice. "Rain, report. Where are you?" "Your vitals are unstable." Rain froze. The Aurora Dawn was in orbit. There was no way his ship could reach him through the interference this planet created. "Captain, can you hear me?" he said. Leora stopped walking. "It is not your captain," she whispered. "It is them." The voice changed, twisting, breaking apart into laughter that had no warmth. The stars above pulsed red for a heartbeat. Rain turned off the communicator. For a while, they walked in silence. The only sound was the soft crunch of his boots and the whisper of Leora's dress brushing the dust. Finally, Rain said, "You said you were human once. Tell me, what happened?" She glanced at him, her eyes glowing faintly like dying suns. "I came here with my team. We were searching for a new energy source. This planet, it had what we needed, but it also had a mind of its own. And it took you. It offered me eternity," she said. "I thought I could use its power. I was wrong." Her voice cracked slightly, like an echo of a memory that still hurt. Rain felt a strange pull in his chest, not from the planet, but from her. She was more than a mystery. She was a tragedy wrapped in starlight. "Do you want to leave?" he asked. She stopped. Her eyes lifted to the shifting sky. "Every moment," she whispered. A wind, real or imagined, blew across the plain, carrying a low humming sound. The stars turned again, forming a shape like a doorway in the sky. "They are coming closer," she said. "We must reach the core before they do." "The core?" Rain asked. "It is the only place where the planet listens," she said. "If you speak there, it may hear you." Rain didn't fully understand, but he nodded. "Then let's go." As they moved, the ground ahead cracked open, revealing streams of blue light flowing like rivers. The air shimmered and shadows rose. Thin, tall, faceless. The keepers. Their bodies were made of starlight and smoke. They did not walk. They drifted. Their heads turned toward Rain and Leora. "They see us," Rain said, his voice low. Leora squeezed his hand. "Do not shoot," she whispered. "They feed on fear, not blood." But fear was already growing in him. The shadows multiplied, surrounding them slowly, their edges sharp like blades of night. Rain pulled Leora behind him. "If they want me, they'll have to go through me." One of the keepers stopped, its red eyes glowing like embers. "You carry her touch," it said, its voice like breaking glass. "She belongs to the stars. You do not." Rain stepped forward. "Then take me too." The shadows hissed, a sound like 1,000 winds tearing through hollow metal. The ground shook harder now. The doorway of stars above began to open, light pouring down like a beam. Laura's grip on his hand tightened. "You don't understand," she said. "If you stay with me, the planet will mark you too." "Then let it rain," said. For the first time, Leora looked at him. Truly looked, and something changed in her eyes. The cold glow softened, and for a heartbeat, she looked human again. A tear formed at the corner of her eye, glowing like liquid crystal. "No one has ever said that to me," she whispered. The keepers moved closer, forming a circle. The light from the sky beam wrapped around them, pulling them upward like threads. Rain felt his feet leave the ground. His ship, his mission, his orders, all of it was far away now. Only her hand felt real. "Hold on," Leora said. "If we reach the core, maybe, just maybe, I can be free." And then the stars swallowed them whole. The stars around them turned into a tunnel of light. Rain felt weightless, his hand still locked with Leora's. Her fingers were warm. Human, too real for someone who claimed to no longer be alive. "Where are we going?" he shouted over the rushing sound. "To the core," Leora said. Her voice was steady now, almost hopeful. "If the planet listens, it may give us one chance." The tunnel ended with a soft flash. They stood inside a vast chamber, endless and alive. The walls were made of pure light, flowing like rivers in the air. At the center was a heart-shaped structure, pulsing. Slow, steady, ancient. "This is it," Leora whispered. Her voice trembled. "This is where I was changed." Rain stepped forward carefully. "What do we do?" She turned to him, her glowing eyes reflecting the light. "You do nothing. I must speak." He frowned. "And what about the keepers?" "They won't just let us go. They already watch us," she said softly, looking at the shimmering walls. "But this is my prison, not yours. They want me, not you." Rain shook his head. "I'm not leaving you." Leora stared at him for a long time, then smiled. A real smile, warm and fragile. "Why?" she asked. "You barely know me. I don't have to know everything," he said. "I know what I feel." She reached up, touching his helmet gently. "You feel alive again," she whispered. "That is what the planet does. It shows you what you are missing." Rain's chest tightened. "No, you're not a dream." The chamber trembled. The keepers appeared at the edges of the light, their shadows long and sharp. "They are here," Leora said. "I must choose now." She stepped onto the glowing heart. The light beneath her feet responded, wrapping around her like silver threads. "Leora," Rain called. She looked back at him. "I can free you, but only if I stay." "No." Rain stepped forward. "There has to be another way." Her smile turned sad again. "I waited for someone brave enough to find me, but the planet does not give without taking. It gave me to the stars, and it wants a soul in return." The keepers moved closer. One of them spoke, its voice like wind over broken glass. "Choose." Rain felt the air grow heavy. He couldn't move. The heart's light spread across the chamber, rising like water. Leora's voice echoed in his mind. "If I leave, you take my place. If I stay, you go free." He shook his head. "I won't let that happen." The keepers raised their arms. The light turned red. Rain leaped forward, grabbing Leora's hands. "Then we leave together." For the first time, her eyes widened. Not with fear, but with something like surprise. Together, she whispered. "Yes," he said. "If this planet wants to keep us, then it will have to keep both." The heart pulsed faster, as if it heard them. The light surged, wrapping around their hands. The keepers hissed, their shadows tearing apart in the brightness. Then, silence. The chamber faded. The stars returned. Rain blinked. He was standing on the rocky surface again, his ship visible far in the distance. The sky was still purple, but the stars were calm now. The map was gone. Leora stood beside him. He touched his helmet. It was cracked, but he was breathing. He didn't understand. Did it work? She nodded slowly. It listened. Rain felt relief wash over him. Then we're free. Leora turned her face toward the sky. You are... He frowned. What do you mean? You're here. She looked at him, her eyes still glowing, but softer now. Almost human. Part of me left with you. Part of me will always stay. No, he whispered. I promised. Her hand touched his cheek through the helmet. You gave me what I lost. The feeling of being seen. And then, just like starlight fading at dawn, she began to dissolve. Not in pain, but in peace. Her fingers became light. Her dress became dust. Her voice lingered, soft and warm. Remember me. When the stars fall again, Rain reached out, but his hand passed through empty air. The silver dust rose into the sky, joining the stars. He stood there for a long time, silent. The radar beeped, his ship calling him back. The mission was still waiting. The universe was still endless. But now, when he looked at the stars, they no longer felt cold. They felt like her.